Black History Month got a musical kickoff this morning.
Lord, don't stop the carnival. Lord, Lord, stop the carnival. Carnival's a carnival bacchanal. Lord, Lord, stop the carnival. Lord, don't stop.
That's Andrew Craig and Macomere Fifi with a tribute to Harry Belafonte. I had the privilege to host today's event on the 54th floor of the TD Tower. Right across the country, TD sponsoring events throughout February, celebrating Black History Month. A little later in the show, I'll speak with a singer-songwriter. His name is Kari Wendell McClellan, about a show he's performing across Canada about the history of the Underground Railroad and its connection to his family.
And even though it's hard to know, roll on, hold on.
That's Kari Wendell McClellan singing this morning at the kickoff to TD Black History Month celebrations. Kari is the co-creator of Freedom Singer, a theater show that takes you through some of the musical history of the Underground Railroad. The inspiration behind it, a woman close to him named Kizzy.
So Kizzy is my great-great-great-grandmother. She escaped from slavery in the southern United States, made her way through Detroit and into southern Ontario to Amherstburg, Ontario, and then eventually, after emancipation, made her way back into Detroit. It's always been a part of my family's story. So my mother, my grandmother always talked about Kizzy, and it's always been a story that our families use as a sort of a way of finding strength and resilience. And I was reading a book by a woman named Carolyn Smars Frost called I've Got a Home in Glory Land. And it's about two people who had escaped from slavery, and it paralleled the exact same timeline. And so I wrote the author and I said, you know, I'm really interested in trying to find out what might have been the music that would have accompanied the people on these kinds of journeys.
Coming up through the Underground Railroad.
Coming up through the Underground Railroad, exactly.
To the river in the valley below, in the hopes it might wash away my sorrow.
Well, tell us about the show and the story. Like, how did you turn your history into this performance piece?
Well, it's interesting. I think that a lot of people may have some knowledge of the Underground Railroad, but through this project, I was really able to find out a lot more about some of the stories of people who were escaping, but also the journey for a lot of people to try and find more about their ancestry. And one of the things that you immediately run into is that there aren't really good records kept for people who were facing the tyranny of slavery in the United States. And especially if they were coming into Canada, often they were changing their names. They didn't want to be found.
They were hiding, yes.
Even though it's hard to know, you gotta hold on.
The journey of collecting all of the music that I could find of early African Canadians, both in Halifax, in southern Ontario, talking to people in Detroit as well. And so it's the music, all of the songs that I collected, but also the story of that journey to try and reconnect with my great-great-great-grandmother as she fled into Canada. And I am grateful to be in Canada, and I know that there's some complex things about the history of this country in relationship to the Underground Railroad and letting African Canadians come in. There was great impetus because of their war with the United States. They were afraid and they wanted more people on the border, as well as the relationship with Indigenous people. But for me, in my lived experience, it's been a great relief in many ways to find myself here.
And you didn't come because of Trump?
I did not. No, I came because of Bush.
Congratulations on your work and on this show, and thank you for helping us to celebrate Black History Month, Kari.
Thank you.
Freedom Singer runs from February 1st to the 11th at the Streetcar Crow's Nest Theater.